I received a few thoughtful questions from a person on my Discord server about icons and some early fathers, and so I'm just going to give a few quick opinions on it. He quoted Origen and Clement of Alexandria against the use of images, and I would just caution this in two ways. First, with Origen, he's condemning pagan images. He's not condemning Christian images. And he condemns altars, but clearly he means pagan altars, because in his commentary, if I remember right, on, was it Leviticus, but he mentions the existence of Christian altars elsewhere in his corpus. And so we have to take into account the context of the critique of something. It says no altars, no images, but they had Christian altars. Doesn't mean they're Christian images, but right, it shows you that you have to be cognizant of the critique. With Clement of Alexandria, he makes explicit mention of Christian symbols and signet rings. Now, Michael Garden has gone to considerable detail in his book, Early Icons, about the apotropaic nature of these signet rings. And so there's iconodulic theology behind them. So we know that one of the earliest signet rings that we have in existence from the 2nd century, if I remember right, shows Daniel in the lion's den praying to the Good Shepherd. So it literally is an icon of someone praying to an icon. It's pretty interesting. And so the fact that Clement Alexandria allowed for these signet rings, and we know these signet rings had icons on them, and Clement even makes mention of Christian images on these icons, at least Christian symbols, means that we have to be very careful using them as a source against Iconodulia. There was a mention of Eusebius' letter at Constantia. We don't know which Eusebius wrote it, whether Caesarea or Nicomedia. If authentic, it has to be Nicomedia, because the real Eusebius of Caesarea writes in quite a few of his books about the existence of images, and he speaks of them quite positively. So maybe this is a negative example from Eusebius and Nicomedia. It's also possible it's just very exaggeratory. Right, he says there's no such thing as images, but if you keep reading the letter, he says he's seen these images, so they must exist if he's writing against them. The last thing that kind of comes up is Saint Epiphanius. Most scholars consider these things authentic. It would be strange if they were iconodulic forgeries, that they would put the evidence of their doctrine being wrong within their own forgery, so it's probably authentic. And with Saint Irenaeus, just be mindful that Epiphanius actually mentions that these Gnostics were doing sacrifices. So those are the things Irenaeus